This is Ravens Flock Talk Podcast, coming to you every week with their thoughts and opinions on each and every Ravens game. Tune in weekly and join the flock.
This is Ravens Flock Talk. I am your host, Brandon, and my dad joins me along as my co-host. And we get the win in Jacksonville, our revenge game after last year where we had full control and we just let it slip out of our hands. That was a heartbreaking loss, and we got our revenge. As Lamar said after the game, his first win in this stadium, where he lost obviously last year and even in college. And this was almost a flip of last year, where this year Jacksonville let it slip out of their hands. The amount of mistakes that they made in the first half really would have changed this game and made it a lot closer. But on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, I think we did very, very well. The only mistake I would say is that Lamar pick, which I thought could maybe change the game in some sort of way. But Jacksonville could not capitalize. And yeah, and a big performance by our defense, too, as I said. It was just a well-rounded game.
Yeah, this is prime time. You know, we haven't had a prime time game on a Thursday. In I think 2008 was the last time we had one. So kudos to it.
Well, this is Sunday.
Oh, this was Sunday. Oh, apologize.
Sunday. We had the prime time on Cincinnati, too.
That's right. So, yeah, so, you know, a lot of people consider this a trap game. And we couldn't afford that because, we're having the 49ers coming up. Yeah. So this was a big, huge win. And for some reason, Brandon, I was never watching a game. I was never in a panic. And I don't know why, because the game was actually close and could have been closer if they didn't make so many mistakes.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if they hit those 2 field goals, right, that's at least 6 points. And then the Lawrence fumbling in the red zone, they were driving the ball. I was feeling like, okay, they're going to score on this drive. We got bailed out right then and there. And then just before halftime,
that was the killer.
I don't know why Doug Peter. I guess they were trying to throw us off guard, but you have 15 seconds on the clock. Spike the ball. You have at least 2 plays to run before kicking the field goal.
Exactly.
Especially at that part of the field, you didn't have to rush to get back, to the line of scrimmage. Everything was calm. I don't know. It was just a huge blunder.
Especially in their home stadium, right?
And, and we always say, too, it's a momentum game.
Yeah.
I mean, if you end up with a touchdown there, it changes. It's a 10-7 game.
Oh, my gosh. Any points in that point.
Yeah, it's a 10
So, you know what? Who does that sound like to you, Brandon?
Yeah.
Hardball's good for that, guys. We say that almost every week. However, hey, good to be on the other side of a coach with the time management of the clock.
Yeah.
So no, I mean I'm just pleased about the results, of course, but also the way everybody got involved this game, everybody, and so I'm happy about that too.
Occasionally, but really, it was just Likely and Lamar's legs. I mean, I'm not going to, Odell had 1 catch. Zay had 1 catch.
Bateman did well. Bateman
had 3 catches. But outside of Bateman, Likely, and Lamar, it really wasn't much.
Well, remember, there were big plays. There were big plays down the field. Yeah. Not little short passes that.
I'm saying it wasn't as well-rounded as in my opinion. It really wasn't, because me and you both were saying, where's Odell? Where's Zay?
Well, Zay was pretty much non-existent in this game. After he had a fantastic game last week, you'd think he would be featured. But, hey, other people stepped up. I'm okay with that,
In terms
Brandon.
of the receiving position, but the run game, everybody got their looks. I mean,
Kohler had a big catch in a critical. What it was is critical catches in critical times to me, right? So I'm pleased.
Yeah, the downfall, of course, is the Keaton Mitchell injury. If you have been watching this podcast, I have been a big proponent of him, of feeding him more, getting him at least 15. I always said at least 15 carries because he's that explosive. And I didn't even know this. He's averaging around 7-8 yards a carry on the limited carries that he's had. So it's a huge miss. And there's a couple people, a friend of mine, and also some people online that I've seen where they're like, yeah, but I don't think that should really dictate the Ravens' projections and change much. Well, we already lost Andrews.
Yeah, no.
And Mitchell was I mean, a diamond in the rough that nobody ever expected that you could add to this offense. Now it's like you're putting a lot of pressure now. You need Justice Hill to produce now, and maybe Melvin Gordon if he gets to the active roster. So it's a huge blow.
I totally agree. I can't emphasize that loss any more than you did. It's like this guy was like he was the game changer, as they like to say. And he was doing fantastic.
He makes the game easier on your quarterback.
Yeah, he was doing fantastic too, making nice runs. He had a nice 20-plus yard run down the sideline, and I just love the way he ran. He runs,
reversed fields,
reverse fields.
You know,
he's got the speed that we need because we've been lacking his speed with the running back for a while now. So he filled that
because of JK's injury, and now we lost 2 running backs on the year.
And it's not only that, Brandon, it's a horrific.
It's a complete tear. He's never going to be the same again. He's only 23, I believe.
And it's so sad for him.
It reminds me of a different sport, but Derrick Rose, he never was the same with how explosive he was. When you're running back and you're cutting,
you got to cut.
And you got the burst of speed and the power. As we just saw with J.K., he gets the first injury in the preseason. Boom,
and
again.
I noticed when he came back, Brandon, his speed wasn't there.
Yeah,
he couldn't.
Of course not.
I'm just saying, he lost his speed.
It's tragic, and that's why I say running backs are so disposable. And I also mentioned too in the previous episodes is like, you're not paying him, so you might as well feed him. And it's just what a freak non-contact injury.
Yeah. I'm sad for the young man, Brandon, because like you said, he's only 23. We got him for a steal right now, and I just hate to see this injury for this man in his career, but I guess that's football.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in a way you're not panicking as much because you also have Lamar's legs. But then again, I don't want this to be like, again, during this game, that option run, I take that out of the playbook.
Yeah.
All of Lamar's big runs are when he's just
scrambling. When he's scrambling,
no one's downfield, and he's making something happen, right? And he did it on the big play with Likely.
Yeah.
Bought himself enough time. That was the play of the game.
Yeah.
So that's where Lamar's most deadly. But this whole, I'm going to either keep the ball or fake it or, to the running back. That
caused a lot of fumbles early in the season.
Yeah.
So I don't like it. They didn't do that. I don't remember him doing that.
Let's not resort to that just because of Mitchell's injury.
Right.
What I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for Todd Monken. Just stick to your game plan.
Because you need Lamar. Let's not get him hurt. Let's not force feed him and get him hurt.
Exactly. So, I know, Brandon, you're not a fan of Justice Hill, but he has to come up big now, just like Likely with Andrews. He has to come up big, and my thing with him is he's not physical enough like a Mitchell. He can't break tackles.
Even though Mitchell wasn't the biggest guy, and to me, he looks bigger than Justice Hill out there.
Yeah.
But he can make a guy miss. He can carry a guy for another. Justice Hill, the first contact, he goes down 9 times out of 10, which I feel like as a running back you can't have.
I totally agree. And what it reminds me of is Hollywood and Zay.
Oh, yeah.
Both the same physique, the same size, but Zay is so much more physical than Hollywood was. Yeah. In fact, Hollywood would slide like a quarterback not to get hit. But Zay
Me and you were saying that long before a bunch of Ravens fans turned on him.
Yeah.
And were not fans of him. We were saying that long before.
Anytime you don't want to have physical contact as a receiver in the NFL,
this is not the sport
that's not for you. You're going to slide like a quarterback?
Yeah.
No, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
So, Mitchell's emergence reminded me of when we first got introduced to Ray Rice.
Yeah, Ray Rice.
Smaller. Now, Ray was a lot thicker, and stockier.
And Dobbins that could have the speed and break tackles.
Like, man, we cannot get a break with these running backs. We just can't, and it sucks. We also have another running back, I believe, Owen Wright. He could get promoted, young, fresh legs. You never know because we didn't know about Mitchell until the preseason.
Exactly.
But it's almost like, man, how many times are the Ravens going to have to replace a key guy and have this guy become, like Likely?
Yeah.
It's not often where a key guy goes down. For them, the season's done. But that I give credit to Eric DaCosta.
Yeah.
A well-rounded team is like your star guy goes down,
think about
and
it,
the season's not over.
Around the league, everybody's getting hurt, so we can't really complain too bad. However, these key players that get hurt, of course, there's been quarterbacks around the league that are
But
out,
I'm saying
out for the
it's
season.
so rare
to have
those
balance,
injuries and still be in contention.
right?
You know,
and not really miss a beat too much,
Yeah.
right? So no, I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of this game too, let's talk a little bit about Jacksonville. Man, Lawrence, he looked off a little bit. He had some good throws, but a couple balls were like dribblers. He really
his timing
wailed
was
some
off.
over his receivers' heads. So they just looked completely out of sync. In the beginning, I was a little worried because that first couple drives, they were running it right on us.
Yeah.
Right down our throats. But we fixed up in the second half. And it was similar to
the
the
first
Rams
half
game.
was 10-7. It was very close game.
No, it was 10-0. It was 10-0.
10-0.
going into
Sorry,
half.
that's right.
But they kept blowing it in the red zone. But it reminded me of the Rams game. They had 7 straight runs down our throat, and I'm going, man, what's going on with we're the number one defense. No one runs on us like this.
Yeah.
But
and again, I was surprised to see how many passes that Lamar did in the first half, and then throughout the entire game.
It seems like we're going to have to do that.
Yeah,
though, with the injury now.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it actually because you got to score points in this league, especially when you're playing these premier teams.
Yeah.
So coming up like Kansas City and not Kansas City, but 49ers. You got to Miami. You got to score points.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at the stats right here. Is like Keaton Mitchell, 9 carries, 73 yards, averaged 8 yards a carry, just on 9 carries. Now, granted, he got the injury, so that reduced the amount of carries he could have had. But Gus Edwards had 16 for 58 and only 3 yards a carry, right? So for people that are saying it's not a huge blow, are you even watching us?
I know.
I mean, he makes the game so much easier.
That's what explosion does for you, and speed. I mean, Gus doesn't have that, so he's a red zone.
Gus is going to have to average 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, he's a red zone guy, but he's going to have to now be more than a red zone guy. He's going to have to have 5 or 6, 7 yards a carry.
Now,
right?
the one thing I will say, and the last thing on the running back that I want to mention is with Justice Hill is, like I mentioned to you even a couple episodes back, is the offset with Mitchell's speed and Gus's, big body, short yardage, ground and pound type. Well, Hill has that speed, right?
Right.
So it's not much of a difference, but in terms of the run style and breaking those runs and making guys miss, there's a huge difference. But let's just hope Hill, stays healthy and can be motivated to
The unique
step
part
in.
about the Ravens is Lamar. He's almost like a third running back. So he's scrambling.
I just don't want it to become superhero ball with him.
Yeah, he really doesn't need to. He still has all the players around him. When he scrambles, he's like Houdini, and that's fine. Okay, I'll live with that. I mean, he had so many escapes and so many moves on the run. It was incredible. I mean, all the commentators and all around the league today, and they're saying what a dynamic player he is, and that we should be on prime time all the time. Much more prime time games than we had, just because of him, and it's because he's fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean when he evaded the sack, threw the ball, and the pass rusher was looking, I'm like, how did you do that? That really kind of let me know, okay, we got this game. It's really over at that point. Because that was the dagger to me. That really was the dagger.
I just thought of this, Brandon. The two missed field goals on Jacksonville.
I'm saying, but in the second half,
in the
right?
second.
Because that happened in the second half,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah, it happened in the second half. That's when I knew we had this one in the bag for sure. Jacksonville screwed themselves with the missed field goals in the beginning, which would have made this game much closer.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, there was still a game before that play, is what I'm trying to say. If he gets sacked right there, we're at a field goal range. You never know.
Yeah.
So this was a big win. Jacksonville's going to be a playoff team. We might see them again, and I'm going to feel more confident if they have to come to Baltimore for sure. In the cold, it's going to be tough.
And Brandon, we get no help. I always tell that to Brandon. We never get any help from any of the NFC teams, especially, and in the AFC. So we just got to win. And I told Brandon all that time, just take care of business.
This would have been
Just
the
keep winning.
ideal week if Darnell Mooney catches the Hail Mary for Chicago. Pittsburgh got blown out, and then Minnesota completely. I mean, what a way to lose the game in typical Minnesota fashion.
Yep.
The T. Higgins, and this is why I've been telling you I want T. Higgins in the offseason to go up and then have the whereabouts to reach across. I hate the Bengals with a passion, but you got to be level-headed to be like, what a freaking play.
Yeah.
What a play
No,
to have the
I
whereabouts
mean,
to still reach over.
But
and,
again, one play away from them beating them.
Knock
all
the
they
ball
had to do
down.
is knock them down. That's it.
And
Game
then
over.
in overtime, it's 3rd and 1. You do a QB sneak trying to be like Jalen Hurts. Don't get it right.
Yep.
The running back was killing them all game. You don't even give it to him, and they do it again with him, and it's short.
And they still had a
4th and
chance
inches.
on the Hail Mary to win the game, and they couldn't do it.
Well, that was the Bears game. I'm talking about
Oh,
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay. All right.
Cincinnati. I mean, 3rd and inches, 4th and inches, you can't get the first down.
Yeah. That was crazy.
I feel like if Chicago beats Cleveland, right, and Cincinnati loses, they might not make the playoffs because they kind of they almost have to win out.
Right.
Exactly.
They're on the fringe.
So that would have been two huge losses, and now I feel like they're both going to be in. And to me, they're sleepers because they know us so well.
Yeah, well, I can't wait
they're sleepers.
I can't wait to Christmas Day in the 49ers. This is going to be a real test for the Ravens to see what kind of team. No, really, what kind of team are we? So
I know what kind of team we are. Like I've been telling you off air is for anybody that's watching is, let's say we lose and get blown out, but there's no team in the AFC like San Francisco as good as them. They really have no weakness if you think about it.
Yeah, I agree.
The only thing I could say is they're secondary, but they have a quarterback who's very accurate. They have a run game. They have a star pass rusher. They picked up Chase from Washington. Mm-hmm. They have Fred Warner, who's one of the best linebackers in the league, if not the best. The secondary is how you're going to have to beat them, in my opinion. Yeah. In my opinion.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a test for them, a real test.
I'm not panicking if we lose that game.
No, I'm not panicking. I just want to see how good are the Ravens. How balanced are we? How balanced are we playing against a premier team?
We're very good.
So we'll see. We'll see.
I think the key is you have to contain the run. You cannot let Christian McCaffrey and Debo kill you on the run game and make the game even
Which has been an issue lately for the
Ravens.
Ravens.
That's why I bring it up, because now you're making the game even easier for Brock Purdy. Yeah. Let's see how really good. I mean, he's a good player. He's very accurate. He kind of reminds me of Drew Brees in a bit. But let's see how good he is if you get pressure in his face, if you stop the run and you make it 3rd and long. Because I feel like that's how you're going to have to beat San Francisco. But they're going to be rowdy. It's Christmas Day. It's
and I'm wondering about our defensive line. We're giving up too many yards running, especially down in the middle, up the middle.
But like I said earlier, we contained the run in the second half of this game.
Yeah.
We made adjustments. It seemed like we made adjustments at halftime.
I guess because we did do a lot better in the second half. Thank goodness, right? Because they were eating us up in the first half on the run game.
Yeah.
And so was the Rams the week before.
Yeah.
So,
First half and second half in terms of the run game has been night and day to me. Because in the second half with the Rams, Stafford was just throwing it. Laser, they weren't focusing on the run as much. And that's a testament to our defense. But it's kind of wild. Man, this defense, I saw a stat, the 35th straight game with a sack, longest streak in Ravens history. And I was telling you, how is that possible with all the great defenses we had in the past, that this defense has the longest sack streak? Who would have thought?
I know. Look at Matabuke. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. A record. 11 sacks. Every game, a sack a game. So man, we got
very odd at his position.
We've got
to. I know, odd.
I know. We got to keep him. We got to franchise this guy quickly.
Yeah.
So he's really a good story on the defense. So
he is.
Yeah, I mean,
a big piece to us for sure.
Brandon Stevens talking now about defense.
Yeah, I meant to mention.
Yeah, Brandon Stevens had a heck of a game. They were targeting him. Brandon was telling me the whole game they're targeting him, but he stood up. He had a couple,
a couple flags that I thought weren't pass interference in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But
he was a good Hey,
he was good. Kyle Hamilton was good. Again, great. I
can't even believe Kyle is on the field. That's what I love about him, because he's a baller.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that he came from a high ankle sprain like that, who would have been out for like 4 games with a high ankle sprain? Huh? Stanley, for people that don't know me. So yes,
he's just a bona fide wimp. A waste of money, a waste of space, in my opinion. It's a shame.
And he's always complaining. He's always complaining about
to go back to I don't want to harp
right.
on Stanley. I mean, he's just so irrelevant to me. To go back on the secondary, though, Marcus Williams again gets hurt.
Yeah.
What has he done this year? Is there a play that he has made? I don't know.
You know, Brandon, I was watching looking at the Ravens site. Harbaugh gave him a game ball. For what? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't even know what he did.
Outside of making the tackle.
That was what it was.
Yeah.
That one tackle on the sideline.
Are you kidding me?
But I mean, you get a game ball because you did one tackle. Okay.
I guess because he hasn't been.
He hasn't been
tackles.
He hasn't been performing.
That to me, him and Stanley seem like the biggest waste of money. Because he got a big contract when we got him from the Saints.
I know.
And Humphrey's teetering on the edge. I'm so about him.
And hey, he got a game ball too.
I mean, he didn't get burnt or anything.
Yeah, that's why. Because
the thing is, if you don't see him targeted or his name being called, that's a good thing.
Yeah, and it's because he has been getting burnt.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why Harbaugh gave him a game ball today.
Yeah.
Because they must have had a little pep talk on the side.
One guy, too, to stay on the secondary is, huge first half of the season, and he's kind of gone silent, is Geno Stone.
Yeah.
You haven't really heard his name. He hasn't gotten an interception in some time after the
But that could be good because they're not targeting him. And
he is a safety.
I know.
He is a safety.
I'm saying, but I mean, he's not getting burnt.
Yeah.
The long ball,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's good.
But I think, man, this is our best secondary in a long time, as I mentioned. Brandon Stevens, we always complained about they're 6-7 yards off the receiver. Well, Brandon Stevens is right up in their grill. Blanket coverage.
It's good to see.
And we haven't seen that in a long time.
Right.
So I want to give...
but he's one of the few that do that on the Ravens.
Yeah.
Get up on him.
I think Arthur Millette, though, is a weak link. He came from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's never been known for secondary.
And he's the one that got burned on the long touchdown pass.
Yeah. So he's shaky, but we have a good defensive unit.
Yeah.
Obviously, the stats back
show
that up.
Show it.
But, to end out the season, we have San Francisco next week. Then big game against Miami and with Pittsburgh. And in terms of Miami, Tennessee gave us a huge boost 2 weeks ago. That miraculous comeback win to keep us on top at the number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. And I really thought the Jets, this is jokes on me, I thought they were going to give Miami a fight because Tyreek was out. Mm-hmm. And I'm only mentioning Miami because they're right behind us in second place.
I know.
But they got a big game next week against Dallas.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see that.
So root for Dallas.
Yep.
That has big implications on what could happen for the rest of the season. But if they win Dallas and we lose to San Francisco, that Miami game is going to be huge.
It's head-to-head. That's going to...
For it all.
Yeah.
That
is going to be something else. But I think we got to win out to get still a home field advantage from here.
Possibly. I don't know all the scenarios. But that head-to-head matchup is going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
What do I tell you? Let's just win.
Yeah.
Win every game. Take it, and let's see.
Yeah.
You got to win out. And we're hitting our peak, I think, Brandon. And hopefully we don't get any more further injuries.
Yeah,
and we,
especially on offense.
Yeah,
because we're already down 2 key players. We cannot afford even a Odell, even though he sometimes can go silent like this game. We need everybody.
Yeah,
we need everybody.
I know. And Odell has the best hands on the team. I always say that every week.
So big win. I'm glad we got the win. This was one of our calmer games, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
And, everybody's going to be hyping, not just Ravens fans. The entire league is going to be hyping up this game. 2 teams, both, I think San Francisco is number 1 in the NFC currently.
Yeah.
So this is a heavyweight bout. And
I think they already have home field advantage already. So
we'll see.
So we'll see.
We'll see. So please tune in.
Get your Christmas dinner ready, baby, because this is going to be a big one.
Yes.
Sunday
it's
night.
It's going to be exciting.
Not Sunday, but Christmas night.
Yeah. So I actually remember a few past games that we had on Christmas, so it's kind of unique that again we're having this and against this team of all teams too.
Yeah.
So let's hope we can pull out a win and continue on and stay injury free.